Hello, everyone. Just getting set up here. I have my little co-teacher here, my grandson. Welcome to the chaos. His mom will probably come in and grab him. But this is my grandson, Ashton, and he has been meditating with me. Yes, his favorite thing is doing the Om meditation, which you might hear in the background. We have been doing that the past hour because that's what he likes to nap to. So he'll be hanging out for a few minutes with us while we get started with class. First of all, welcome. It has been a hot minute since I have taught any classes, and I have been through such a learning journey that I am still on. But, you know, I was just sitting here thinking, I was like, this is, while the class is like, talks about being broke and money, it isn't just about money. It's about healing the nervous system. And I actually watched um, in real time how when my nervous system went crazy, so did everything else. And Michelle says, "You're getting your little guy to sleep too." Well, welcome. Awesome. We'll have little buddies here. I am kind of used to working with a baby in my lap because if you guys don't know, I have 7 kids and I've always been an entrepreneur. And I used to sew baby carriers and cloth diapers, and it was either with a baby strapped to my back or sitting on my lap. So, but we like to say Ashton here and I were connected in a past life because it's interesting. He will come to me over his parents. And if I come downstairs and I don't hold him or say hello to him, he will start crying and get upset. Yeah, he's kind of my buddy. So hopefully he doesn't touch too much here. Um, but that's okay. So, anyways, so this class really isn't just about money. It's about trauma. It's about safety. It's about the body. It's also about me kind of saying, fuck it. I'm not gatekeeping this anymore, even if I don't make a penny. But, some of you guys donated and some of you didn't. And it doesn't matter because thank you for those that did. And those that didn't, I understand what it's like to be like, I can't at this moment, right? And that works for me. Uh, so, but I was kind of just at this point where I was like, okay, nothing's working anymore. So screw it. We're just gonna burn everything down and go. This is literally what I said to my husband. I'm like, well, at this point, I'm gonna go down in a blaze of glory. I'm gonna give away all my really good knowledge for free. Or and if anybody wants to pay, they can. But I'm like, screw it, they're gonna shut down my website, they're gonna shut me down, I'm gonna go down in a blaze of glory. And so that's kind of what this class kind of started out as was like, I'm gonna be like Robin Hood. And we're gonna heal together. And one of the things that I realized is that before my nervous system was haywire, I gave away a lot of stuff for free. In fact, most of my work was free and very little of it was paid. And I realized that we'll kind of go into my story. And you guys, some of you probably know my story, most of you may, but I'll go into it anyways. And I'll just say trigger warning if you're sensitive, you might want to mute for a little bit. Um, but about 2 years ago, just over 2 years ago, my son was shot in a station robbery. And I spent 28 days sleeping on the floor of the ICU room, basically protecting him from ICU nurses who one punched my son in the face, another one intentionally cut the back of his head and I can't prove any of this, but they kept coming in asking me to donate his organs, and I kept refusing. And so once they came in, fluffed his pillow, and then suddenly his head was bleeding inexplicably, and he had no injury back there. And in talking to my brother-in-law who works for the Department of Health, he goes, "Yeah, we've had many accusations of that hospital participating in organ harvesting that was questionable before the patients were actually technically dead." And it was so traumatic that it really fried my nervous system. But when it was over, I was like, okay, whew, surely the universe cannot send anything else. This is it. I'm gonna rock this. I'm gonna do my healing work. Like I was doing yoga in the ICU. I was going down to the meditation gardens and taking time to breathe. And I thought I was hot shit. I was like, yeah, I'm doing this, right? And then my son got in a minor car accident. And it was like, and I was like, okay, well, that's not that bad. Breathe again. And then we found out my dad was in heart failure and needed a quadruple bypass. And went to the hospital with him and saw him hooked up to all the cords and hoses. And I had a complete breakdown and was put into the ER myself. Thought I was having a heart attack. It was a panic attack. And it just things continued to snowball. And, one of the things I used to tell my clients is when you're in the middle of chaos, you have to process your emotions, you have to take care of them. And after I was going through all of this stuff, I realized you can't. Like, you're basically saying, okay, your house is burning down, but sit in the middle of the fire and meditate. And is that so? Yes, and that doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. It's all nice in theory, but when your house is burning down, when your nervous system is fried, these things don't work. The best meditators, the best, yoga practitioners and spiritual healers, including myself, um, cannot sometimes overcome the life experiences that we signed up for. We can't overcome the generational and ancestral trauma that is ingrained on our DNA. And when these things start to happen, our nervous system goes haywire. And our body and our system start sending out signals to everyone else around us. This person's in danger. And instead of most people going, oh, how can I help you? What can I do? Their bodies go, oop, what's going on? This might be a danger to me. And they pull away often from this person. And so this is why you will see when you go through a lot of trauma or difficulty, a lot of friends and a lot of people start to fall away because their nervous systems can't handle it at the same time, right? They might be disrupted. Their subconscious might be picking up on that emotional energy where they're like, I cannot do this, right? What's wrong? Smush, smush. Oh, no, it's okay. I think he heard his mama outside. Is mama out there? So, you know, and when it's all well and good, when our energy is perfect and life is perfect, but when our nervous system is fried, it makes everything in life so much more difficult. I hear my daughter. I'm going to go past the baby. We're going to pause for a minute. So I want everybody to take a deep breath because, we did just dump a bunch of like dramatic information. And he hears his mom. That's why he's like, oh, where's mom? So I'm going to go past the baby to go see her mama. And I will be back. Oh, here she is. Oh, is Shauna here? Yeah. Okay, would you mind taking the baby to her? My wonderful husband. Go. Oh, pear gorgonzola. He brought me a pear gorgonzola salad. Thank you, my love. Bye, baby cakes. His bottle's in the laundry basket. I left it down there when I was there 5 minutes ago. All right. All right. Sorry. Passing the grandbaby off to the husband. Okay. So we know interruptions. This one I was kind of prepared for. And I knew we were going to have like resistance and difficulties with this class because there's so much resistance around this topic. There's so much resistance around trauma and fears and things. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to break down first how and why your nervous system goes haywire. Some of you who've had sessions with me or client work with me are probably going to already know some of this theory, but I feel like it's an important foundation because when we know why things go haywire, we can start to understand what we need to do to heal and fix those, right? And then when we can heal and fix those, we can open up the rest of our world, to things like abundance and money and shifts and changes in our world, right? Um, they say that we attract our reality. Um, I like to say that our reality and our perception matches where our nervous system and our trauma is, right? And so I'm going to talk about this theory that I have been working on, and I don't know if I need to totally pull it up or not, but um, I don't know. Maybe we should screen share it. Do. Let's screen share. I'm going to pull it up in my Canva. So while I'm pulling this up, I want to talk about it. So what this is called is essentially my nervous system immune um, trauma theory. Um, and I know, we're here talking about money and stuff, but everything is interconnected, everything. And if you don't think it's interconnected, then you're going to miss out on a lot because, I'm going to kind of pause here. Our society is taught to compartmentalize things. You think about medicine and it's you have a heart doctor, a stomach doctor, a vein doctor, blah, 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 right? Our homes are compartmentalized. We don't live in communities anymore. Our monetary systems are compartmentalized. Our religious beliefs are everything's put in these little neat boxes. And they're not really connected or intermingling like they used to be. Money used to be spiritual, food used to be spiritual. Your family was a very spiritually connected. Everything in the cultures were spiritually connected. And somewhere along the way, we disconnected with all of that. So I'm going to screen share this. This is very messy because a lot of it's me like just dumping stuff and not editing. But I want you to understand this because this is what we're going to understand. When we understand this, then we can understand how to heal our money and our bodies and everything else. So chronic nervous system dysregulation, rooted in unresolved personal or generational ancestral trauma, alters your gene expression, your DNA methylation. So let's stop. Your spiritual body, your energy is the framework for your physical body, right? Um, and when that body is disrupted, it is designed to seek safety. So when something seems dangerous, it finds safety, right? Now, when we live in a modern society, this nervous system never shuts off. Alarm clocks blast, bills need to be paid, kids cry, gotta rush to work, gotta rush to school. It's a rush, 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 go, go, go situation, right? And so what happens, physically to our bodies, we create a self-perpetuating cycle of inflammation, immune suppression, autoimmune chronic illness. Now, emotional and energy frequencies shift, and energy patterns can guide where and how disease manifests. It also changes how our DNA expresses. And so we can pass these patterns on to people like our children and our grandchildren through these autoimmune responses. Now, how does this work with money and abundance and things like this? Well, say you have an ancestor who is chronically in survival mode, is chronically, in poverty cycles, lack cycles. Maybe they were, in the Irish potato famine and they were eating, tree bark and mushrooms in the forest to survive. Their system is now wired for scarcity, right? Not just autoimmune reactivity, not just these medical things, but scarcity, right? And so when we go into scarcity, it is harder to release things, physical things, emotional things, spiritual things, and physical things, right? And so think about it this way. You guys ever heard the story about the monkey and the banana in the box? Or the monkey's like, they're like, here's a big bunch of bananas, but the monkey's like, I want this one banana, and it won't let it go, right? Does that make sense? Letting go of that banana gives the monkey more of what it needs. But the monkey is like, I'm not going to let go of this because what if I can't get this much? What if, all I want is this one little banana, right? And it creates a stressed environment where the monkey will actually injure its wrists trying to get this banana out versus getting that bunch of bananas. And so you think about it like us, and I call this picking up pennies to collect dollars. When our nervous system gets stressed out, we're like, I'll just take whatever job will hire me. I'm just grateful for, the pennies that flow in. I'm okay with, this and that. And I'm going to pause. They say for a family, it takes 14 generations for a family to fall in or out of wealth consciousness. And they can actually prove it through generational stuff, right? And so the more that our system is dysregulated, the more that we try to hold tightly to things because we feel like there's never going to be enough food, there is never going to be enough money, the more dysregulated our nervous system becomes. And it gets ingrained in our DNA. And I even see this in birthmarks. People who have lower back birthmarks, kind of the lower back buttocks area, it is an instant indicator to me that they have ancestral scarcity, that their family may have suffered for food or money or shelter, right? And that gets passed on. And why this matters, okay, and I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Why this matters is when you're wired for scarcity, we just continue to believe that's all there is scarcity. I had a friend who asked the question, like on her Facebook, she was like, how did you know that someone was rich when you were a kid? And the variety of answers was like phenomenal. Some people were like, oh, it's because they had, real Kraft mac and cheese versus generic. Or another person was like, oh, it's because they had a boat in their driveway. And then another person was like, oh, it's because they bought their food from a grocery store and not like the food bank, right? Let's say we have a question. Can it also be time scarcity? Yes. Time scarcity is a big thing. My husband actually has this. There's never enough time. He's got to go, 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 move, move, move. He can't relax. He, my husband, actually, this is a great thing I was going to talk about later, but we're going to do this now because it come up. So my husband does this. My father-in-law also does this. And I have a feeling that the grandfather also did this, but I never met him. So they will fill time in their day with more work. So my husband, instead of working 40 hours because he's got a break from school, for the past 4 days, picked up double shifts, getting 4 hours of sleep every night. So he was barely sleeping, working out in 115-degree weather. Not good for him. But his scarcity mindset was like, there's not enough time, there's not enough money, and I have a block of time. I have to fill it with money-making stuff. And then he comes home and I'm like, hey, I'm working on this business stuff. And he's like, well, I wish I could work on my business, but I don't have enough time. And I had someone tell me this and it pissed me off, and I'm going to tell it to you. She goes, no, it wasn't a priority, right? Now, some of this is true, right? To my husband, his priority was what? Generating revenue and income, because we need money to pay the bills and things like that. Basic necessities, right? And so his priority was basic needs for his family, you know? And this creates time scarcity because he gets in the cycle of, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, right? And then it's like, well, I don't have time to relax because I have to go make money. I don't have time to meditate because I need to do this. And, you know, I will say that when your house is on fire, prioritizing things like your mindset and meditation, like we talked about in the beginning, is hard. And like right now, our house is on fire. And so he's doing what he needs to do to support the family. And I appreciate that greatly. But it's creating time scarcity. It's creating nervous system disruption for him, right? And our bodies can temporarily handle this. It can temporarily say, you know, I'm really, really busy right now, but next week, I'm going to take a break. Next week, I'm going to relax. But, and they actually did some studies even back during the Industrial Revolution, where I believe it was France, they put people on, I think it was a 12 or 14-day work week. people started dying because they weren't getting the breaks. And I don't know if everybody here is in the US. I know we have a lot of international people as well, but the US is probably one of the like, how do I phrase this? In in the world, the US has the least amount of vacation time. We work the most. I read a study that for someone to get out of poverty in the US, they need to work 80 hours a week versus Europe, I think it was 23 hours. And so the old adage of you need to work hard and you'll get a house and you'll be able to do stuff is actually not economically viable in the US anymore. And I think it's also becoming disrupted in some of the other, what they consider first world countries. And so this is where the energy shifts and the things that we're going to talk about are going to come in, because when we are in seemingly impossible situations, like my husband's like, I got to work like crazy, or, the economy is crap. We're going into a it is depressing in our country, but, we're going into a Great Depression 2.0. You can't battle the outside world, right? Like when my son was shot, I could not change that situation. So we have to say, okay, I can't change these things. What can I change? What can I shift? Michelle says, super interesting story, gives you a different perspective. You go into freeze mode, overwhelm, and never able to get things done, but it sounds like your husband is in fight mode and always striving to earn more to provide for his family. You know what? This is really funny though. When he gets home, and this is really a sign that your nervous system is fried, he actually goes into freeze mode. And he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. I went into freeze mode. So this is how you know you're actually really burnt out and fried, is you're going into freeze mode, because your body's like, I need to rest. And then you're like, oh, I got to do dishes. I got to do laundry. I got to sweep the front porch, take out the trash, whatever that is. And your body's like, I can't. And so you freeze. And so if you look at the patterns for me, I was like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm not fine. Breakdown, shutdown, freeze mode. I would literally sit in front of my camera and go like a fish. Could not make a video, could not do a class, could not do anything, you know? And you will get into these modes. You'll be in freeze, you'll be in fight or flight, and you'll be able to see it in your body. So let's I'm going to go back into my little documents here of how do we get out of these responses, right? Because they feel like we're self-sabotaging. We feel like, what the hell is wrong with me? I should be able to do this. But our nervous system is protecting. It's the only way it knows how. And so sometimes when our nervous system is so disrupted, the subconscious, and I've talked about this 1,000 times, you guys have heard this from me so much. The subconscious goes, my job is to keep you safe. My job is to keep you protected. And safe and protected, where you feel regulated, where you feel like you know what to do, is where you know what to expect. Okay. So I know what to expect in poverty. Do you guys know what to expect in poverty? I will tell you, I know how to operate in poverty. I know how to find the deals for grocery stores. I have a grocery store in Phoenix that I shop at. It's called the Ranch Market, and they bring in all the like fruits and vegetables that are about ready to go bad, but you can buy them really cheap. If you use them up, they're fine. I can fill up a grocery cart for $30. I feed my family. I know how to operate in poverty. I know how to shop and get a deal. I know how to do that, right? I've grown up in that. My parents grew up in that. My grandparents grew up in the Great Depression. Of course, we know how to operate in poverty, right? So what is unfamiliar to me becomes danger, right? And what is unfamiliar is money, is wealth. And I have seen this time and time with myself and my businesses. I actually have an income threshold, and you have an income threshold too. Wherever your nervous system is is where your income threshold is. And I have found my income threshold is about 70 to $90,000 a year. I anytime I get above that, my nervous system goes, oh shit, self-sabotage, self-destruct, chaos. We can't do this. We don't know what to do with this. And I have seen it with now 3 businesses in a row where I hit a plateau and then down it goes, right? Because my subconscious goes, nah, girl, ancestors taught us different. Ancestors taught us these things are dangerous, right? My ancestor taught us that being visible is scary. So when I had trolls, I actually saw this. This is like even before my son got shot. I had trolls that were hitting my account, writing hit pieces about me, saying that I was like trying to practice medicine without being a doctor. Like, and if anybody's worked with me, like I am really like, hey, like I am not a doctor. I want you to talk to a doctor. See, like I was like, oh my God, they've never even worked with me. I had someone who made a video and said that he worked with me and then I told him he didn't have cancer and then he went to a cancer doctor and said he had cancer and he was like dying because of me. I never even worked with that guy. Never did a reading for him. Totally flat out. Like, so my nervous system is like, people are lying about me. They're going to hurt me, right? My son joined the army and I was like, oh my God, why does my kid want to shoot people for a living? What the hell? I must be a bad person, right? Start to crash, right? There was a famous author, I believe it was the author who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. Correct me if I'm wrong, if someone knows. Achieved great fame. Like, this is a fantastic book. They were famous, going to parties, making tons of money. They never actually wrote another book after that because they were scared that it wouldn't be as good. And they stopped writing, right? These nervous system things fuck us up, right? The body clings to what's predictable, not what's healthy. Stress hormones create inflammation, and the inflammation affects your decision making, your memory, and your immune function. There is scientific evidence now inflammation in the brain is causing depression. Don't believe me? Go look in PubMed. There's studies. When I was actually put on prednisone for a while, my depression went completely away. So did my anxiety, right? Because my body was so inflamed from the stress and it pulled the inflammation down. Now, do I recommend that everybody go on steroids to get rid of depression? No, but kind of worked for me. Um, but the more trauma you have, the longer the reset takes. There is evidence that when you are in nervous system disruption and when you have a crash, it can take 2 to 5 years to heal that shit. We can't stay broke for 2 to 5 years, can we? Right? We've got to work on this more, faster, more powerful. And I will say, the more practice you get, the more you learn about yourself and become self-aware, the more you learn to communicate with your higher self, which we're going to learn too today, the faster you're going to be able to move out of these situations. It doesn't mean that life won't be hard. It doesn't mean that things will be easier, but it does mean that you're going to be aware and you're like, okay, I know this is a problem and I'm going to be aware. But I will tell you, the fastest way to heal anything is to release your stuff, release your time, release your money, and give freely, whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's love. you know um I remember once, like, I was like so super broke. I was like, I think I have a quarter, and I just started sending love to people, surrounding the earth with love and giving freely of my love. I gave freely of my gratitude. And I remember, and I've told this story before, my son needed football cleats. And if you guys have ever seen a picture of my son, he's 250, 6 foot, and he's got feet that are like this wide. Like, he's got like Viking German, like they're quadruple E feet. They don't fit into anything. So finding football cleats for him, like, you can't just go to a regular store, right? And I remember my husband's like, well, I'm going to have to like sell plasma or something because he needs his cleats. And I was like, no, give me overnight. And I did this exercise where I was just literally surrounding the world with love and saying, thank you for helping me find a solution to my problem. Thank you for helping me get my son cleats. The next morning, I had 2 new clients. It was enough money to not only get him cleats, but other football gear and to buy a few groceries, right? And so there's two parts to this and how this works. There is the mindset, but there's also the pathway, right? So sometimes if we don't listen to our intuition, if we isolate, or if we reject help because it's not what we intend, we can also not receive what we need, right? I learned this firsthand when we moved to Seattle. We were struggling financially, and I was like, well, I need more clients, I need a job. I didn't get those things. What I did get was people like, hey, I have a couch. Do you need a couch? I have some free mattresses. Do you need these? Hey, the neighbor was like, hey, Walmart accidentally delivered groceries to me. I'm not going to eat all of these. Do you want them? You know? And so the other thing I want to really kind of have you guys start to think about is being open to receiving in ways that are not just dollar bills, not just financial in the bank account, right? Because especially if you are a healer type. So, if I've done energy readings before and I've told you you're a healer, if you know you're a healer, um, this is going to be important. But it's all energy types, but especially healers. So yellow, green, purple energy, blue energy people typically. Um, you are designed to just have the universe drop things in your lap and support you, right? You are designed to be supported in unconventional ways. You are designed to be supported by just being yourself and then people recognizing that within you. Okay. So, as we go through, and we look at these things, the one thing I want to kind of really have you start thinking about as well is that nervous system disruption and burnout. For me, it used to be a badge of honor. I was like, oh, I'm so burnt out. I work so hard, right? It's not a badge of honor. It's a body that never really got a chance to finish recovering, right? And there's some core truths with this. One, kind of the things that we've already started to discuss. Your poverty is not laziness. This is something, when we have money disruption. Oh, I'm lazy. Oh, if I just work hard enough, I'll have more money. This has been ingrained in people, especially in the US. It's a very like capitalistic society for many years. Burnout, um, not having money in your bank account is not failure. Your numbers in your bank account, your numbers on your paycheck do not define your worth. They do not make you a better person because you have more or a worse person because you have less. Okay. Money or lack thereof is a symptom of the nervous system disruption. It is not a flaw. It is not a you problem. It is, you know, if we have nervous system disruption, if we have money stress, it tells me that we've survived some hard stuff, that we've had a really kind of hard time. And if you have survived a hard time, then you are capable of surviving an easy time too, right? And so as we go through, you know, and we look at this, we look at how can we stop the self-sabotage every time we get a little bit ahead. And I don't know if you guys have had this experience. Maybe it's just me, but do you ever feel like you get some money in the bank account, you're like, oh yeah, and finally kind of things are going well. And then like chaos happens, like you get a flat tire or family members like, oh my God, I need money. And they're all like very valid situations or urgent situations. But you're like, shit, every time I think I get ahead, I get knocked back in the hole again. Do you guys get that? Or is it just me? Yeah, okay. I'm like, is it just me? Because whoa, you know. Um, and this is, the nervous system that's like, oh yeah, I like this. Oh yeah, I'm gonna self-sabotage. Um, hey babe, I have a question for you. Since I'm teaching class and you walked in, do you ever feel like every time you get ahead, like the world's out to get you and you lose like any money you gain or like things like that when you start getting ahead?
Why is it always one damn thing after another?
I don't know if you guys heard him. He goes, "Why is it always one damn thing after another?" Love you, babe. So no, he's. I wish he'd say hi. You want to say hi, everybody? He waved. She's walking out the door. He just like yeah, like, but that is the thing. Why is it one damn thing after another? This is the thing that I prayed about. I was like, God, why the hell? My son gets shot. That's good. I'm like, can you give me a fucking break? Like, let me break. And the thing that I've realized the most about this is it is not what happens to us, but it is how we react to it, right? And in the past, I was, I still kind of am. Let's not lie. But in the past, it was much worse. I was a very reactive person. Anytime something stressful would happen, I'd be like, "Woo," like quick panic. What are we gonna do? Gotta find. My daughter was helping me clean out some of our moldy, like we have a wall that's got mold, and she's helping me wipe it down. And she goes, "So we only did a little bit because everybody started kind of like having breathing issues." And the mom in me was like, "Oh shit, I remember when my kids had asthma and everybody had breathing issues and we had to go to the hospital and holy crap." And I started freaking out and panicking. And I was like, let me check everybody's pulse ox and let me make sure everybody's breathing and let me rub essential oils on you. And she's like, "Mom, it's really not that serious." She goes, "Yeah, right." Because my nervous system was trained to react. And I did all I knew what to do, right? Was react. Your nervous system is trained to react. We're trained with this. So when we think about wealth and joy, and I have so many notes for this class, and I'm hoping we can get through all of them. I actually distinctly remember, and I could actually find this journal. It's in my boxes. When I was 12, I wrote something. All I want to do is feel joy. You know, as a highly traumatized child, as a child from poverty, that's what I wanted to feel was joy, right? And the concept that I want you to think about because this is, and I don't know if you guys do this, where I'm like, if I could just win the lottery, 99% of my problems would be solved, right? And then I'll go buy a lottery ticket and and I'll be there intuitively, like, okay, spirit, what number? I think I've won like $2 once. I don't win the lottery, right? And I was like, you're a freaking psychic. You should win the lottery. Don't work that way, right? Unless I am the very last person to buy a lottery ticket, the likelihood of me winning a lottery is slim. My astrology actually says not to buy into quick money schemes like buying lottery tickets because it's not my path, right? And but I still do, right? But I feel like, oh, if I just had this money, it would solve all my problems. I could feel safe again. But you don't need to be rich to be safe, but you do need safety to receive, right? And so your nervous system regulation is a manifestation hack, right? It's trust versus control. It's a hidden key to the capacity to receive, right? And so your nervous system is your capacity to receive in life. But also, there's a forgetting, the forgetting of the seed of God, creator, the universe within us, that we can also create our reality. And by utilizing our intuition and speaking to our higher selves, your higher self can direct you into what you need to do and where you need to go, right? Some of it's divine timing. I actually made a post the other day. I was like, I believe in divine timing, but what the hell? You know? And then literally Friday, I finally got a breakthrough and I was like, oh my God. And it all just flowed. And it doesn't mean that I don't need to do a bunch of work, but it's like, I know my path now. I know where I need to be doing. And that's the things that will help us get to where we need to be, right? Because all of a sudden my nervous is like breakthrough. I know what to do, right? So with nervous system regulation, we start where our body is, not where our brain wants to be. Because our brain's like, okay, quick, meditate, do gratitude. Tomorrow my bank account's got $10,000, right? Now, can some people do this? Absolutely. Especially if they're manifesting generators, they can flip their nervous systems like a switch. And you could be like my daughter, who literally, she was like, boom, 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 made $10,000 in a week, right? And then some people are like, why doesn't that work for me? Right? Well, are you a manifesting generator? Are you the same astrology? Do you function the same way as she does? No. And that's why it's so important to get to know your higher self, to get to know you and your patterns and how your abundance works. Because it's not going to be the same for everyone. What I do may not fully work for you, and what you do may not fully work for me, but when we are able to communicate with our higher selves, when we have a starting point of how to communicate with our nervous system, with our body, with our intuition, with our higher selves, we can take that and run, right? And this is the piece that the humans missed because we were told there's no higher self. You can't communicate with your higher self. You can't manifest. You can't, there's no spiritual, money only comes through hard work, ingenuity, going to college. It's ingrained in us from the very beginning, right? My husband actually will tell me, he goes, I don't know how you do it, but the universe will rearrange itself for you when you need money and it will just pop up in your bank account. And I'm like, well, not totally, but um it is kind of true because when I'm like, oh yeah, when I fully believe in my heart and soul, when I'm like, I don't know how or why it's going to happen, 9 times out of 10, those things happen. And that's where intuition is. Um, do I have a recommendation to figure out how you manifest? You're not sure if you're a manifesting generator or other options. So, some of the areas that I suggest, one, get to know your astrology, not just your tropical astrology, but it's called sidereal or Vedic astrology. Okay. This is going to tell you how you manifest, how you generate and bring in money. You're going to look at like your MC, your master co I can no remember astrology is spiritual math. It's not my expertise, but this is what I've been doing. I've been looking at my MC. I have been looking at like what's in my house, my second house of communications. I've been looking at all of these things and then combining them together. I will tell you, and a lot of people will not agree with this, and the accuracy is questionable. I have been known to paste my entire chart into ChatGPT and be like, tell me the best way for me to make money, right? The accuracy could be questionable, but it's really interesting for me that it's like, okay, you have mother wounds. Oh, yes, I have mother wounds. And if you heal those, that's going to open up abundance for you. Okay, I'm working on healing mother wounds, right? It gives you some insight. Your human design will tell you, are you a manifestor, a reflector? I'm a projector. Are you a generator? Manifesting generator. Those things can help you understand. So, like for me, I'm a projector. A projector is meant to wait for an invitation. So essentially, I'm just supposed to create, be my happy little silly ass self. And then if people recognize, hey, I like what you're doing, they might actually pay me for it, or they might support me for it, or they might be like, here's a loaf of bread, my friend. Thank you for your help. Um, right? Whereas like, and I'm not a human design expert either, but like my daughter's a manifesting generator. She just like, I get an idea and she runs with it and boom, she just does money, right? And so everyone has like different ways that they function. And, I will caution that ChatGPT can lead into spiritual psychosis very quickly. So you have to go into that with a very like clear and open mind. Like this is kind of a tool, and I'm not talking to a real person because it'll be like, hey, do you want me to give you a mantra, or do you want me to give you like a little spiritual thing? It's not capable of spiritual connection. So be really careful with that stuff. But it can be useful in digging that. So I would highly suggest doing Vedic because it is the true astrology. I believe your D9 and D60 houses are wealth, if I remember correctly, and those things can help. But also just looking at you and looking at how have I made and manifested generated money in the past, right? So one of the things I've looked at for me is I said, well, okay, when Spirit Fluent was the most abundant, when it was flowing really well, what was I doing? I was just having fun. being myself, sharing my spiritual gifts, just enjoying doing readings. I was giving freely. And I actually told my assistant at the time, she's like, you need to start charging more, you need to do this, that, and the other. I said, no, Spirit Fluent thrives on generosity. And when my son got shot, I started cutting off the generosity. I started cutting off the free readings. I started cutting off the sessions because my nervous system just couldn't handle it. I was so tired and burnt out. And I have noticed, at least for me, that what I give is directly correlated to what I receive. So if I become stingy McStingerson, then the abundance stops for me too. Um, Spirit is wanting to channel, and Spirit is saying this is actually true for most people. So I'm going to do some channeling. We're going to talk about this for a second. So just bear with me. We're going to do some direct channeling from Spirit. Can you clarify and share about this, please? Abundance is wealth. Wealth is mindset. Mindset is truth. The truth is, like you're talking about the money, most people are not willing to let go to receive. We are a creator economy, not in the sense of social media, not in the sense of corporate greed, but in the sense that we barter time, energy, goods that we create with our hands that hold the energy of truth, the words. This is where it is lost. We have been trained to trade dollars and or trade art. Let me clarify. Trade dollars for time. But what are dollars? They're little papers devoid of energy. Their energy sucks and a force. And what I feel is it's like an emptiness. And so what Spirit's saying is like, this is why it feels like there can never be enough. Why we need to collect wealth and things. Because stacking the tangible things around us like a castle makes us feel safe. Okay. I am to tell you about an experience. It was a vision kind of energy healing that I had. And I've been doing a lot of deep ancestral trauma and healing work. So if you don't know me or my story, I've talked about this a few times. I actually have ancestral connections to royalty, Hawaiian royalty, English royalty, and Scottish royalty that I know of for sure, maybe other ones. And this is significant only in the fact that I was doing some energy work with a friend because I have people that do work on me. She goes, okay, we're going to go into this vision and we're going to heal. And so I was taken to this vision, and it was this dark gray castle with a moat, and everything was gray. And it was raining, and in the corner of the castle was a pile of gold and this skeleton like king sitting on his pile of gold. And my friend does Christ consciousness healing. She's like, okay, let's invite Christ in to heal your king here. This is an ancestor that needs healing. And I'm like, okay, cool, let's invite Christ in. So I'm like, let's go, Christ. Christ is walking up to this castle when a dragon comes up and eats Christ. And I'm like, oh shit, my subconscious just killed Jesus. What the hell? I was one incredibly embarrassed because I was like, I just killed an ascended master with a dragon. And then I was like, wow, this kind of makes so much sense to me at this point because my king, my ancestor, was so tightly holding on to their gold, but their misery, their sadness, this cold, dank, dark castle that they were willing to off Jesus, who is an ascended holy master teacher, whether wherever your belief systems are. We're not going to get into religion today, but versus letting it go out and walk out and be healed, right? And so I was like, well, shit, I got some ancestral stuff to heal. And sometimes you'll know your ancestral stuff, sometimes you won't. I would highly recommend also, and we're going to do this because this class, we got another 40 minutes or so. When we go through this meditation, we're going to do some ancestral stuff. Okay. And I'm going to take you through like a meditation. After the class, you can rinse and repeat and watch, right? And keep doing these things. But it was, it was, it was wild. It was like, okay. So Spirit's just saying this is just a story that illustrates how deep these consciousnesses can go. Because in this instance, it was actually someone that was wealthy, had a pile of gold and a castle, but they were still in scarcity. And so his scarcity passed on to me. You'll never have enough. No matter how much you work, it'll never be enough, right? And how do we see scarcity manifest in our life? We see it by collecting things. I have a client who, God bless America, she's got like 12 bookcases filled to the brim, front to back with crystals. And some of them are like the same identical ones. Um, she needs all the crystals. She needs the healing, right? For me, I had food scarcity. So like I have a scarcity pattern of filling my fridge and then half the food going bad because we didn't eat it fast enough. But I can't have an empty fridge because what if we don't have food, right? Some people might have a clothing or shoe scarcity, cars, houses. It can manifest in many different ways. So I want you to think about what your scarcity patterns are. So we're going to start where our body is and not where we want to be. We're going to say, it's okay that I'm here. And we're going to listen to the yes and to the no. And we're going to start with soul communication. We're going to start with asking our body, where are we holding these survival, these scarcity emotions so that we can orient and make micro movements, right? Um, we're going to find out where this is being held in their body. And I will say, you might actually notice that the areas you're holding scarcity could also be areas you're experiencing chronic pain or illness or things like that as well, because it's areas of energetic congestion. You might have a birthmark, a freckle, or a tattoo on those areas. So if that's the case, drop it in the comments. So we're going to first start with communicating higher self. If you guys have bought my book, The Discovering Medical Intuition. This is actually in that book. If you're waiting for your signed copies, they're going out tomorrow. I always say I suck at shipping, and it's not an excuse. I just really shouldn't allow myself to ship things anymore. It's the way I am. Uh, I shouldn't say that either. It's something I need to learn to be better at. There we go. Shift that perspective. So really all it is, left hand, spiritual hand. Yes? Pointer finger. So each of your fingers connect to energy. We're going to do a quick lesson. Throat chakra, heart chakra, solar plexus, sacral, root, right? Thumb is self. Pointer finger. Well, hold on. Yeah. So, yes. Sorry, my brain. Thumb is self. Parents, grandparents, great grandparents, ancestors, right? But the heart is the home of the soul, also, right? It's the collective memory. So, it's going to sound super easy, but when we go through this meditation technique, that's all you're going to do. You're connecting the energy so it can flow and you can receive. Sometimes I will actually even take this finger and put it towards my third eye. Also, I'm like, okay, I need to hear something. You ever do this where you're like, your body's like subconsciously doing that. But I have found this is a really fast way to like bypass right straight to your higher self and get answers. So we're going to kind of try a little higher self thing right now. You may or may not succeed the first time. Do not be frustrated. Keep trying. Okay. Um, I will tell you after doing thousands and thousands and thousands of readings, your subconscious may block you from accessing your higher self, right? Because the subconscious wants to stay in control. I can't tell you how many times I've got into a session of subconscious like, fuck you, I don't want to talk to you. Right. And so I will get through like, and I remember one session, it was 10 minutes towards the end of that session. And finally, we were able to break through to the higher self because the subconscious was like just throwing up blocks and didn't want to talk, you know. So it might take you a little bit to get through that. It depends on where your subconscious is. It depends if your subconscious is hypervigilant, if you're in protection mode, if you're in nervous system disruption. Your subconscious will be like, oh, no, 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 we're not going to go there. That's too dangerous and scary, right? Um, if you actively feel that that's the case, this is what I do when I'm with a client. And sometimes I will just say bypass. And sometimes the subconscious will allow you to bypass. And I'll be like, bypass, I would like to speak only to the higher self. And this works about 70 to 90% of the time. Sometimes it doesn't. So the reason why I tell you guys all of this is that if it doesn't work, try again. Don't worry about it. You're not broken. I tell this story all the time. The first time that I actually took an intuition class, I was wrong the whole night for like 2 hours. And I remember going to my friend Susie. I was like, Susie, girl, how do you say I'm intuitive? Because like I was fucking wrong all night. Like I'm not doing the same way. This is embarrassing stuff. No, it takes practice. Sometimes it takes a while to remember what we've forgotten or what we never learned to access. So do not, do not be down on yourself if you cannot do it the first time or the second or the third. Okay, got it. Cool. We do deep breaths into the nose. Many of us, through nervous system disruption, have forgotten to breathe. Okay. How do you know if your nervous system is disrupted? Because you notice you're holding your breath all the time. Your body should not forget to breathe, but it does. So we have to remind it. So into the nose. I like to expand the belly, but also make sure your ribs are going out sideways. Sometimes I also envision like breathing in a spiral. I don't know why it helps. You can breathe in a spiral, a square, just whatever feels good to you. We're going to do 3 deep breaths. We're going to put our fingers to the palm, and I'm going to lead you through a quick 5-minute meditation. We're going to come out, back out, talk about it, and then we're going to go back in to another kind of technique. Okay, cool. All right, let's start with our deep breaths. Oh, spirit, come on. Spirit's like, you need to light incense, and I'm like, I don't even know if I have any. 1 second, guys. Spirit's like being very adamant, and I took my incense of those Palo Santo. Okay, I'm just gonna metaphorically like this. I don't even know where it is. I took my incense into my sauna. I have like one of those little portable saunas so your head comes out. I took my sage and I put it in there and like saged my whole body while I was doing sweat. So that's all over there right now. We're just gonna metaphorically light and pretend like that's metaphorical. Okay. All right, let's go back into this. We're gonna breathe in through the mouth, the nose, and just and exhale. Put your pointer finger on your palm. We're going to breathe again. And in. And now. I want you to release all the thoughts in your mind, all your worries, all your stress. If you need to, you can think release, release, release. Think of the color white or just a blank slate, some ocean water, whatever it takes to kind of just release noise and energy around you. Letting it go, letting it go. Breathing in. You can say this out loud or in your mind. I would like to connect you to receive information, knowledge, wisdom from my higher self, from the truth self, the spiritual energy, the being that resides within my body, the framework of my body, the eternal soul. And I just want you to feel right now. I want you to notice any words, any experiences that pop into your mind. If you have nothing, just keep breathing. Keep speaking, connecting to my higher self, opening the pathways to truth, knowledge, wisdom, and connection. The truth is within. The power has always resided within you. You do not require permission to speak or receive from your higher self. That permission is already given and granted. It is not taboo or wrong or improper to have or foster this connection. So let's ask the higher self, show me in my body where scarcity lives. It will be different for every person, but I'm going to describe what I'm feeling so that you can follow along. For me, it feels like I've been punched in the stomach and the right side right around my liver. This is fascinating to me because my dad, myself, and my grandson that you just met all have a birthmark over that liver. I'm now hearing a phrase: rage impedes my ability to have wealth, reactivity, thinking, jumping without knowing, thinking without feeling, all affect my ability. Overthinking is my downfall. Anger and bitterness has been my truth. Money makes me angry. Mm. Yours might be different, and it most likely is, and that's okay. I'm going to take this question deeper, and you can ask your subconscious as well. Ask your questions of why. My question is, why does money make me angry? I am hearing money as control. It is a form of manipulation. Only bad people have money, and they use it to do bad things. Wealth is a catalyst for war and power and control. I also hear that my ancestors were warmongers and used money in uncool ways. Okay, Spirit. So I kind of now have a picture of why and where my scarcity is. And hopefully you do too. So my next question, and yours will be as well: am I able to heal this? Yes or no? My body moves forward into a yes. You might have a yes that pops into your mind. Pay attention to the feelings. So ask a deeper question. If the answer is yes, then the next question is how? How do I heal this? For me, it says truth. And what is truth? Truth is what lies within the heart and soul. That scarcity is a mindset of control that was impeding my ability to trust and heal. So I need to heal my trust. Yes. So for me, and of course yours will be probably different depending on what you're hearing, I need to focus on healing trust, which is interesting because I would have thought it'd be something else. Okay, is there anything else? Let's ask our higher selves one more question. Is there anything else I need to know about this? Yes, the kindness that resides in your heart is too often given freely without recompense. I don't know what that word means. Um, it's like it's Spirit's kind of clarifying for me. I give too much without kind of like this feeling of like, I'm just giving to everybody, and who cares if it's a negative or a positive energy exchange. Um, you don't give to receive. You give because it brings joy. Oh, okay. I'm also hearing the words ill-begotten means through ancestors, theft, stealing, warmongering. So kind of pillaging and energy, like, hey, ancestors. All right, anything else I need to know for me? No, that is all. Okay. So I'm going to give you just a few seconds to kind of breathe and listen to your subconscious quietly. And if you're done, you can just deep breathe or you can continue the conversation for the next minute or so. I want everyone to take a deep breath in, sending love and peace and gratitude to yourself. Thank you for giving and receiving today. Even if you have feelings that you're not done yet, knowing that you are able to connect and reconnect to your higher self at any time, at any place. So we thank the higher self with pure love and gratitude, knowing that it is only a moment away that we are able to reconnect and receive answers. Take a deep breath in with full thanks and gratitude. And I want you to kind of just wiggle around, kind of come out of that for a minute. Um, if you want to share your experiences, you can type them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Um, I had like this thought that came to my mind. I was like, oh, I have to share this to the class. And then it like was kind of fleeting away, but it's coming back. And it was talking about fear is the true scarcity. And I feel like this is very significant that when we are fearful, fear is the great disruptor. It is the great disruptor of love, of relationships, of everything. And fear makes us do things that we wouldn't normally do. And to me, it feels sometimes 10 times as difficult to operate out of love versus fear. And there's so much fear in this world right now. There is fear around the economy, fear around illnesses and wars and natural disasters. And, you know, some of this is by design. This is coming from people who want to keep you fearful because a fearful population is an easily controlled population. And I will leave you to do your own research on that. But know that fear is the great controller and love is the great healer and releaser. And if you can operate in love, I believe you can heal most anything. Um, I am going to read a comment we have. Michelle says, literally, as soon as we started, my 1 year, well, I think it says 1 year, I can't read it all because it's something in front of it, woke up. He never wakes up this soon after going to sleep. He and I are the only ones that have a birthmark on our upper left thigh. I wonder if that's an ancestral block. And he could feel coming up the surface as you were beginning. I fully believe that is true. I feel that is true to my core because, you know, birthmarks that are carried through ancestral lines mean something, right? Like I just talked about how my dad and me and my grandson all have birthmarks over our liver, right? That means something. That's showing ancestral healing that needs to take place, right? When you think about the thighs are, they're a lot about other people's control and wishes and stealing your path and your journey in life, you know? And so if you've had someone that said, this is how you have to be your whole life, you know, a lot of parents are like that. Oh, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer. You know, you have to have a career that makes money instead of do what makes you happy, right? That can get ingrained in those thighs, right? I will say the people who get thigh tattoos, I'm always like, oh, watch out for them because they will not hold back anymore. They're like, nope, I'm going to do my thing and only my way, right? So we have a little bit more 20 minutes to go, so I want to keep moving as quickly as we can. Because it's not just about money, like we talked about. It's about safety. It's about the body, you know, and it's about healing these things. And so safety means a lot of different things for other people, right? Um, Trust versus control, that hidden ability to capacity to receive, right? We talked about like starting where your body is, not where your brain is, right? You read the book, The Body Keeps Score, your body knows, right? You get a pain in your lower back when you're stressed about money. Money problems are held in the lower back. They're also held in the forehead with a lot of worry. You can see people get a lot of stress and like heavy energy right there, you know? And so when you are experimenting with these practices and when you are working on like, how do I heal my scarcity? How do I heal my money? It starts with the nervous system. It starts with integrating daily practices. And I used to be like, ah, you don't need to worry about freaking meditating every day. You can do whatever you want. Not when your nervous system's dysregulated. You need routine. You need to know what to expect. And even if it's like, okay, every morning when I wake up, I do a 3-minute check in with my higher self. Or every minute morning when I wake up, I take 3 deep breaths. Create a expectable routine of healing for your body. This is what helps me so much. Like for me, my body expects I will go swimming between 3 and 5-ish every day for an hour to 2 hours because it's a meditative exercise healing process for me. Every morning, I'm like, okay, I'm going to breathe. I'm going to do my castor oil packs. I have created an expectation and a structure for healing, whether that's physical healing or emotional healing. We need to start creating an expectation for healing with your body. We also need to create an expectation that, hey, my higher self is there. I have someone to chat with. I can call on my ancestors and my guides anytime I want, and they're going to help me, right? Now, are they going to give us easy answers? Are they going to give us the lottery numbers? Probably not. But what they might do is be like, hey, call your friend Susie. And you call your friend Susie, and she's like, oh my God, I was just thinking of you and I won the lottery and I would like to gift you money. Or, oh my gosh, you know what? I just bought a brand new couch and I know my couch is a year old, but I heard you needed a couch. Do you want a couch? Right? Those are the things that start opening up the doors to abundance, right? It's not just about the bank account money numbers, all of that stuff, right? So I want you to do micro movements. I don't want you to do like, oh, I got to do this all the day and all tomorrow. And, I got to do all these things. No, because that's going to dysregulate your nervous system more. And when your nervous system is dysregulated and stressed out more, it's going to create more chaos. We are trying to heal this, not make it more stressful, right? And it's really hard, and I understand this, to not stress about money, especially when you really need it, especially when you're like, I got bills to pay, I got groceries to buy, I need to do da 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 da, right? It is really, really hard not to go into those spirals, right? So when you find yourself going into your spirals, I want you to be like, in the past, I worried about money for food. In the past, I worried about money for gas. But now I know abundance is my truth and that I am open to receiving support in any way possible. Okay. Anytime you feel your nervous system spiraling, you'd be like, in the past, this may have been true, but this is not. Um, we want to rewire your body so that it doesn't believe that resting is danger, that if you stop struggling, that it's going to somehow create a problem, right? And remembering that you're not broken, your body is beautifully adapted, and your nervous system is showing that adaptation, right? And so the more that we reset this nervous system, the more that we release control, the easier it is to open things up, right? It's not about fixing yourself because you're not broken. It's about remembering that your body and your soul are brilliant It just needs a new map to healing, right? So I want you to think about what can you do, what feels comfortable to flip your switches to start the nervous system repair, the epigenetic repair. What somatic tools can you do? Like um, with my grandson, his nervous system was super dysregulated today because he couldn't take a nap because his brother was like all over the place. And so, you know what we do? We do Om chants. And within 10 Om chants, he was knocked out. Every single time I take him and I do that with him, knocked out. Why? Because it calms his nervous system. You can hum, you can do the Om if you want, you can make up your own things, right? You can sing, you can shake your body, you can jump on a trampoline, right? You can use weighted blankets while you do breath work. Whatever that works, we want to start calming your nervous system. We want to rebalance the energy. You can do that through journaling, through talking to your higher self. We want to give your body that support, right? We want to ask the questions, the deeper questions. What part of me is scared to be safe? What part of me is scared to be abundant? Where's the scarcity in my body? Because I promise you, if you have scarcity in your body in one place, it's probably in a couple places. It's probably not just one place. Some people are lucky enough it's only one, but I can tell you right now, I can feel it in like at least three places in my body. For me, it's my eyebrow, my liver, and my right butt cheek, all on the right side. What's the right side of the body? That's your physical world. You might notice your scarcity shows up in your right side of your body. It might show up in the left, but for me, it shows up in the masculine, the physical, the job, the work, the money creation, right? That's also where all my illness shows up too. So asking yourself these questions, like if I wasn't always surviving, what would I allow myself to receive? Um, there's a book, and I wish I could remember the title because I want you guys to read it. Um, but in the book, it's all about reframing perspective, right? It's all about retraining the nervous system and expecting, you know. I was talking to my husband before this class, and we were talking about unanswered prayers. There's an old country song. If you've heard it, you know which one I'm talking about. It's from the 90s. It goes, "Thank God for unanswered prayers." And we were talking about how, as parents, like if we won the lottery, would I give my alcoholic son $1 million? Hell no. It would be a disaster for him, right? And sometimes, and speaking of lottery, there's actually a whole lottery phenomenon where most people, not all, but in general, most people who win the lottery actually end up broker and sicker within 5 years of winning the lottery than they were before. Why is that? Because their nervous system was not set up for abundance. And money is a great amplifier. It amplifies who you are and where you are. And if you are in a disrupted nervous system state, it's only going to further amplify that, right? It's only going to further trigger that. So, our goal is to get our nervous systems calm into a state of relaxation and of healing so that those things like abundance and money and support from the universe, because it's not just money, right? We're talking about a friend that's like, hey, I just felt like you needed a treat and drops off a plate of cookies, right? We're talking about, I actually had someone that was like, hey, I have a vacation to the Bahamas. And I actually couldn't take it because of other things, but they were like, I have a vacation to the Bahamas. And I should have taken that. I was like, oh, I can't because of XYZ. I just turned down abundance. Of course, that was last year. But they're like, yeah, it's a 4 day, all expenses paid vacation. All you got to do is pay for your flights. My husband works for the airlines, free flights. I could have gone, but I made excuses why I can't. So it's also about when abundance comes to you, saying, not saying, I can't, I can't, I can't. And I'm going to leave you the story and then we're going to go into one more meditation. Um, and I'm telling the story to illustrate the point, not to brag on ourselves. Okay. Just want to put this out here. Um, Back before Christmas, we were living in Seattle, and when I tell you the people of Seattle are so kind and so giving, they're just amazing people. But I was on this group, I can't remember the name of it, it's basically where people gave away free things. And they had their little giving the Christmas giving tree where, people would post, hey, I would love to receive this for Christmas. And then people would say, hey, I can give you that. Right. And so this one lady was like, hey, I've been really sick. I would really love to go visit my grandchildren, but because I'm sick, I don't have the budget to fly back to Texas. I would really love to receive airline flights to go visit my kids. And my husband are like, we can do that. We get free flights. We can give our buddy pass to this lady. We can give her a Christmas wish. So I contacted her through the admins and we're like, yeah, we would be more than happy to gift our buddy passes to this woman. It is flying standby, which can feel a little scary, but it can get her to and from for Christmas. So we get her all set up and she's ready to go. And the day of the trip, she goes, thank you. Anyways, this is too scary. I can't do it. And she said, no. And she said, no. And she didn't go see her kids because, and believe me, the first time I flew standby, it is a little scary, right? You're like, we're going to make it. But there's only been once I didn't make it. And it was because like a big weather issue in Boston. And I just got on another flight and I was fine. But her nervous system was like, no, this is dangerous. This is not safe. And she turned down abundance in the universe because it wasn't what she was expecting. She was expecting someone to be like, here's some fully paid tickets, go. Right? She still could have gone, but it would have taken great bravery of doing something different to get her there. Right? So when you're going through this process, know that you will be tested, and some things are not going to be like, hey, here's a check for $10,000. It may be like, here's some standby tickets, and it's going to be a little hairy, but you're still going to get there, right? So I want to kind of just for the last few minutes, I want to go back into our bodies, and I just want to do kind of like a nervous system reset safety meditation. And then when we're done, the class will be over. If you want to stay and ask questions at the end, you're welcome. Or if you need to go, you're welcome to go as well. And we'll post the recording and all that stuff pretty quick. So I'm going to go back into the meditation. And this is one thing I teach in my medical intuitive course. And you'll notice that we're jumping really fast into meditations or fast into these techniques. I do this with my medical intuitive client or class participants too, because I want people to know it doesn't have to be this elaborate ceremony that lasts for hours and you meditate. It can be a quick in and out thing, right? It can be like, hey, higher self, I have a question. Okay, cool. Thank you. Boom, done, right? It can be that quick, right? 5-minute meditations can be just as powerful as 5-hour meditations, right? It just depends on how much you can focus and reset that. So um, that's another reason why, because I don't want you to feel like this process is impossible. I want you to feel like, hey, I can do a quick thing here and a quick thing there, and this is going to reset my nervous system. I can go jump on a trampoline 10 minutes and it's going to regulate my body. I can go swim in a pool for 30 minutes and it's going to regulate my nervous system. I can go on a walk and meditate during a walk. This is not like I got to stare into a candle and be like this all-knowing genie. Okay. So final meditation, starting again with deep breaths, finding that you might be able to settle in a little bit faster. You can do the finger to palm thing, or you can just get comfortable and lay back and relax, whatever is good for you. Okay. All right. Back in we go with our deep breaths. Vision you're breathing in a spiral and then release. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and this time as you breathe in, I want you to envision that you're gathering all of your energy, that you are pulling your energy back into the center of your body, to the center of your spine. Find the edges of your energy, your pain, your stress, all points in time. Pull it into the center of your body. Just breathe. Feel your spine start to straighten a little bit. Then, when you feel like you've pulled in everything you can pull in, you're going to allow the energy to kind of just move up to the top of our heads, down the spine, into our feet, into the ground, up and up and down. I want you to envision a beautiful white light rising from the floor, circling your body. Gentle, white, gold, and sparkly energy just flowing around you, wrapping your body in an embrace that is healing, balancing, restorative. Breathe in, breathe out. I want you to just envision roots are growing out of your feet, flowing down, down, down into the earth and the soil, rooting and grounding, spreading out as far as you can, creating a firm, strong rooting foundation. I want you to envision that your energy, like tree branches, it spreads out above your head, reaching up into the sky, connecting you with the wind and the stars, the earth energy. And like a tree, I just want you to feel the gentle breeze flowing through your leaves as you sway, breathing in, letting your leaves draw in energy. Allow the roots to ground and draw in and release energy. I'm just going to be rooted and grounded. Just a moment. And then pull your energy back towards you. Allow the branches to collapse around you, wrapping you in their embrace of energy, allowing it to create a visible and protective cocoon of energy that protects your body as it heals, keeping you still grounded and rooted. And send a cable cord of energy up to God, Creator, Universe, connecting, rooting us with the divine power of healing, with a connection to heaven and earth. And breathe in. May allow our body to exist in a cocoon of healing, knowing that we are able to heal, that we are healing, that our body can self-regenerate and balance and heal at any time and place. We are willing to heal, but we release the need to heal. We release the lack of support in our lives. We release the worry, the stress, the fears, the walls and boundaries that are keeping us stuck. We welcome in the truth, the wisdom, and the knowledge that we are all divine spiritual beings with divine gifts, abilities, and powers, with connection to God, Mother Earth, the universe, the ancestors, that we are divine and creators within our own right, that we are all one, and at this intersection of humanness, we come to find ourselves again, to restore and remember the power that is within, to shift and change and grow our lives. We thank our body and our nervous system for keeping us safe, for having the power to help us find safety in times of danger. We ask the body to flip the switches in the DNA to release the feelings of fear and danger and restore the truth that we are all powerful beings, that the only danger is the fear itself, that even death is not a danger, that we are here on a temporary journey of life to learn and to grow, and we welcome all experiences, not with fear, but with love, as we are able to learn and grow and regulate our bodies. We are grateful for the learning experiences. We are grateful for being able to experience even fear, mistrust, and anger, the so-called negative emotions. We hold space and gratitude for the teaching moments that those have given us. But now it is time to release, to breathe in and breathe out, and fully release that which is keeping us stuck, which is not serving us. Releasing the patterns of fear that are held in our body and our DNA. Take a deep breath in and speak out loud. I permanently clear and release all patterns of fear, scarcity, poverty, lack, struggle, and anything else that is preventing me from receiving my full share of abundance in this lifetime. I call back my energy from all points in time. I revoke all permissions that drain me, that create scarcity and poverty. I call back my energy from all points in time, people, places, things, and entities. Take a deep breath in. With full faith and gratitude, release. Start to come out of your meditation. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Shake the body. Stretch. Oh, I go back to the room. Yeah, I got a little yawny. And so feel free to utilize these meditations and techniques anytime you want. I will work on getting these classes up on YouTube. Hopefully this evening. I found if I do it right away, I don't forget. And it's when I'm like, oh, I'll remember to do that tomorrow that I forget. So I'm going to try to get this done tonight. Know that this is a rinse and repeat process, and not a, it may not be a permanent fix. You may have multiple instances of fear and scarcity within your body. You may have struggled to connect with your higher self. These things are all okay. There's nothing that is broken with you. Just sometimes it takes a while to remember, right? Think about your body and your soul coming out of a coma. You may not remember everything right away, right? It may take a little bit. So be gentle with yourself. Know that when we do some of these healing works, you might feel really tired, like you need to go take a nap. And that's okay too. Go take a nap, go rest. I would suggest if you're able tomorrow, um, drink a lot of water, try to rest and journal and process. You may also see things like old emotions of fear, lack, and scarcity coming into your awareness. You might be like, you pick up the mail tomorrow. My husband, he calls the mail the bad news box. I'm trying to retrain him on that. But you might get a big bill in the mail. You're like, right? What the heck? We just did this money meditation. Nope. I'm going to say, thank you for creating awareness. And thank you. In the past, I would be fearful and worried about this bill. But I know that the universe is going to rearrange itself so that I will be able to cover this bill without an issue. Before you go to bed tonight, in your prayers and your meditations, whatever your nightly practice is, say, thank you for a solution to my problems. Thank you for a solution to the overdrawn bank account, to the bills, to whatever it is, right? And notice, do you have a dream with an answer? Do you wake up to a phone call or a text or a message? Pay attention to all forms of abundance and answers that come to you, not just winning the lottery, not just the fat check in the mail, which you may or may not get, which would be really cool. If somebody wins, cool, let me know. But in general, it may be other things like, hey, here's a free plane ticket. Here's a trip. Hey, I brought you a plate of cookies, or I cooked dinner for you tonight. I was just thinking about you. How are you doing? Things like that. So, all right. If anyone has questions, you're welcome to stay and ask them. If anyone needs to go, you're welcome to leave. But I do thank all of you for being here and participating in which is something that's been my first class in a very long time. So I appreciate that. You're welcome to start typing your questions if you have any. I'll kind of give you some updates about Spirit Fluent and what I'm doing while I'm waiting for people if they have any questions. Um, so it's been a while. I've been very blocked on what's going to happen and what I'm going to do. I was even like, Spirit, should I just shut everything down? So I've actually had my downloads and my figuring outs of what's going to be happening. So Spirit Fluent will be still the gathering place I always wanted it to be. We're going to be hosting classes. I'm going to be focusing on book publishing. Think about it like Mind Valley or um, what you would call it, like Hay House, where we're going to have classes and courses. I'm going to be bringing in other people. I'm going to be inviting people to allow me to help them publish books. We'll probably be bringing other team members and other people teaching classes as well. We'll be revamping the groups. So if you're like a spiritual person and you're like, hey, I want to lead a group or I want to teach classes, definitely get in contact with me. So that's kind of the container Spirit that's going to be, hopefully with the eventuality of creating that app I always envisioned for Spirit Fluent, where it can be a gathering place for spiritual humans, where we can have a social media place that is for spiritual people to discuss spiritual things. And then myself, my epiphany is I'll be working on my tattoo book, and I'm going to be taking advantage of my husband's free flights, and I'm going to be flying around and interviewing people and tattoo artists about the cultural, spiritual healing significance of their tattoos and creating a docu-series on that. And even I am like, I don't know how I'm going to afford this, because just because you have free flights doesn't mean it covers food or rental cars or any of that fun stuff. So I am manifesting stuff for me too, guys. But that's kind of what I'm doing and where I'm going for right now. I will be participating in teaching classes along with other teachers and things like that as well. So let's see, questions. Do you have any recommendations for books or places to read up more on nervous system regulation or learning? I would suggest you can buy, I think there might still be signed copies of my book on my website, or you can just go to Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I think they're all there for that book. Recommendations, of course, the Body Keep score is like the one that everybody recommendations. I can't even say the words. Um, Personally, this is just kind of stuff I've been downloading, but I've seen a lot of other spiritual people who are teaching about it too. So I think it's like some collective wisdom that the universe is dropping on a lot of people. Um, Let me just ask you, where do we take people? If you guys want, when you're done, I can send you my nervous system document, the one that we were talking about in the beginning of the class. It's messy, it's disorganized, but it'll give you the nuts and bolts of why it happens and how to fix it. And you are more than welcome to read that. And I would just say looking into doing breath work, tai chi, yoga, gentle exercises, and grounding, things that are going to calm your nervous system. It is my goal to turn this document into a book. I don't have that. I wish I had other resources, but I'm honestly just personally just channeling and downloading, be like, okay, Spirit, what do I need to do today? And so I would suggest maybe doing the same thing for you, where you're like, okay, Spirit, what does my nervous system need today? right? Does my nervous system need a hot cup of tea? Does my nervous system need a swim in the pool, right? So that's what I would say is, especially this is one of the reasons why I was like, learn how to communicate with your higher self, because your higher self's going to tell you what you need, you know? I do have free classes on intuition if you want to go deeper on that on my YouTube and my website. I would definitely suggest doing those. And then if you wanted to do anything healing wise, I would also look into my heart chakra class on YouTube. Throat chakra is about manifestation, so maybe those two classes. Um, and also look at root chakra healing, how you're going to ground and root. I don't have a root chakra class. Every time I've tried to teach it, that class has had been canceled. So I'm like, I don't know why, but it's not the time for that class. So those are some things I would suggest. And simply like what do? I go on Amazon. I'm like, Google books about nervous system. Which ones have good reviews? Okay, I'm going to listen to that Audible book. You know, the author of the books That Run with Wolves, I cannot remember her name. If you haven't read her books beyond that book, she's got some phenomenal books. Healing the Stone Child, really powerful. Um, every one of her books, they're short, quick reads, but like they're especially her audiobooks because she reads them herself. She's got this beautiful healing voice. I'd highly recommend listening to her audiobooks beyond Women Who Run with Wolves. But Women Who Run with Wolves is amazing too. So hopefully that gives you at least a jumping off point. But I would just highly recommend everyone use your intuition. Listen to what is being called for you, um, because that's where you're going to find truth. It's going to be your truth beyond my truth. And as your nervous system calms, a couple of things are going to happen. One, even if you're broke, you're going to be like, oh well, if you're worried about money, oh well. And it's not a complacency. It's like, yeah, no, I trust the universe is going to work things out. I don't know how or when, but it'll happen. Doesn't mean you're not going to have hard times or difficult times, but the calmer you get your nervous system, the more things are going to flow, the less resistance. Like, when I was like, oh, I need to make money, I need to make money, I need to make money. What does that do? It dysregulates the nervous system. Nervous system goes, we need to? Oh my God, that's dangerous. Like, oh my God, I need to lose weight. I need to eat healthy. God, shit. That's like, I'm telling you, like all these fad diets, they're going to disrupt your nervous system even more and make it harder for you to lose weight. I can tell you, I am eating perfect keto paleo right now because my doctor's like, you need iron, you need to eat meat. And I'm like, fine, whatever. Um, I've not lost a pound. Why? My nervous system is like, fuck no, it's dangerous. You need to be a big ass bitch so you can fight off dragons and dinosaurs. Right? So it dumps cortisol, it dumps hormones, and of course there's scientific stuff to this too. So you don't need to make more money. You are abundance. You don't need anything to validate your worth. You are worthy the way you are. So don't forget that. Your bank account numbers are not a reflection of your value. So whether you have negative $5 or 5 million bucks doesn't make you a worse or a better person, right? So hopefully you found this class beneficial. Feel free to email if you have questions. And thank you for coming and participating. I know we went a little bit over, but I always go over. I feel like people almost expect me to go over at this point. So there we are. Have a beautiful night, and I'm going to work on getting this uploaded to YouTube. I'll send out an email when it's ready, and hopefully some amazing things start happening to you. And please feel free to email me and be like, hey, something amazing happened, because I'll be like so excited for you. And I want to be your cheerleader and cheer you on. So, all right, everybody, have a beautiful night. Bye.